If we consider that a movie, we're quite surprised by some of the pictures that were shown there, and that's what we'll be talking about in just a bit. Let me introduce my panelists now as we get into this topic. Starting with my far right there, Dr. Susan Gitau, a counseling psychologist and a lecturer at African Nazarene University. Welcome to the program, Daktari.
Thank you, Ehige.
Right next to her, the brave man on the panel there, we have Melvin Mwakugu. He's a communication strategist, worked in advertising for the last 10 years, not just in Kenya, across Africa. He's got interesting insights, and I'll be asking him about those in just a bit. And of course, Joanne Kuria, I introduced her a bit earlier on. She's the founder of Double X Agenda. She ran a very interesting campaign last year, My Black is Beautiful. She'll be sharing with us her findings. She's also a policy analyst at a human rights organization. Odd one out first. Melvin, let me come to you, even as I give you a chance to respond to anything that you've watched today, our special coverage. Tell me, what influences advertising in African countries? Because many believe that what advertisers put out set the standard for what is considered beauty.
Well, thank you for having me as the only man on the panel.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, but I think advertising is generally based on human truths. And the reality about it is, across African countries, what we perceive as beauty will be diverse and change. So sometimes it's sad that what's happening with ladies trying to bleach themselves and to have a perception of what they consider beauty. I don't think the advertising industry is perpetuating that. We also have to understand that we're living in a culture where our phone and cameras are put in our faces on a daily basis. So that is also probably playing a part in how people are perceiving what beauty is.
Okay, I don't want you to throw it to those with phones and cameras. I want to ask you, has the advertising industry in Kenya played any role in setting the standards of beauty in your view?
No, I don't believe, no. I don't believe advertising. And
the panelists next to you don't agree.
I don't ever think we even had a discussion of we should put a light skin over a dark skin. I don't think we had that discussion. What we were always trying to do is pick what's the reality of this situation. What would be a reality of a middle-class urban woman? What would that look like? And also sometimes, yes, there's aspirational. If it's ever done, it's inadvertently. It is never...
Not intentionally.
Not intentional.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll come back to you on that. Let me bring in Dr. Gitau. 50 years into post-colonialism, why the hang-up over the standards that were set, Western standards of beauty, that we still see it fit in 2019 to have this discussion about color?
Yeah, this is a fact that we have to struggle as Africans with, because it's like we haven't reached a level where we accept ourselves in our own skin. And it is important also for the ones who are bringing up the next generation, and I'm very happy with the audience that is here today, because there's so many agents of socialization. And you will find that the first place that you are socialized to be who you are is your family setting. What does the family tell you about who you are? Like when you have a light-skinned child and a dark-skinned child, who do you favor more? Because you might find even in a home setting, parents saying, "Get away, you're dark like charcoal." Teachers the same in a school setting, the larger society. I disagree a little bit with him about the marketing and the advertisement companies, because we also set the same pace. And the truth is, if you find the young people who have bleached themselves, they will tell you, "I would rather be this way than what you're trying to tell me to be comfortable in my dark skin," because the world out there seems to. They actually say they are not seen. So you can imagine, everybody is born to be seen. So they want to be seen. But I think the psychology behind it is deep. I think it's a high time we shift our own identity and we become comfortable in our own identity.
Fair enough. Interesting point. Joanne, you had some thoughts as some of those clips were playing from the names that are given to people of a lighter skin. Just share on some of your reactions and thoughts.
Yeah. So, I mean, I completely agree with Daktari, but what I disagree with her is the fact that he is, completely, I feel like advertising has a major part to play. And I always say that it's not a thing that is so complex. Just walk out of here and try and look at billboards. Just turn on your TV. Who do you see? Even on Citizen TV, who do we see on TV? So I feel like, even though it's not an...
You're asking very tough questions.
I am. And the reason...
The audience will respond to that.
And the reason I'm asking is because media media shapes narratives and nuances much strongly than they even give themselves credit for. The same thing with advertising. And I was asking Melvin, who is our friend, so I mean, it's all love here, but I was asking him, what's a moral imperative of advertising? You can't just say that, oh, it doesn't occur to us to figure out if it's dark skin or light skin. Should you not rise above and say, we live in a continent of dark skinned people predominantly. How am I seeing a light-skinned, curly-haired girl on a billboard? Let me tell you, if that curly, light-skinned girl would come onto the street, I would be at pains at getting 10 who look like her.
Actually,
So for me, I'm just like, show people who look like me. This is me pitching to be on a billboard.
That's what you're
right?
telling them. That's what you're telling advertising. That's
Yes,
what you're telling
I'm telling media. I'm telling media.
Okay.
My number is somewhere scrolling. I'm kidding, but that's what I'm saying.
Melvin, before you respond, Joanne, you had a comment about what somebody said. A person on the street in Nigeria. They said, "I want a woman who is natural." You had a problem with that.
Yes.
Why?
Let me tell you what the problem that I had is that men need to say what they want. They really need to be clear.
Because you don't believe that person was being honest.
I don't. Can I tell you why? Men always say that I want a girl who's natural, who looks natural and whatever. But then they won't go for the natural looking girl. You and your kinky, nice fro. They'll go with the lighter skinned girl with hair that looks wavy.
By a show of hands, how many men here agree with that?
I don't. Let me tell you, I don't. Let me tell you, the number of girls that I know who are single because they look like me are astounding. And so guys need to, for real. And somebody even told me that, you know what, for fun times, I'm going to get a light-skinned girl and I'm going to go with a club with her, but then I'm going to marry you. I'm like, boss, because I don't need you.
Okay.
You know?
Wow, this is raising very serious questions. Melvin, you wanted to respond to something she had to say before we open it up?
okay, let's look back to bleaching. It's become a trend. Advertising has existed before this trend. So you can't really blame advertising and blame the media for something that's now becoming prevalent in society. I think the reality about how we look at things, the mamamboga can be in an ad. We have picked very many people who are just normal, everyday citizens to be on ads. But I'd say this, the reality also about some of our multinationals that come into the market don't always come in with naturalized local made advertising. So you can't necessarily blame all brands because sometimes it's a cost. If you're in 52 markets in Africa, you try and make a way that, okay, I will do ads from South Africa, ads from Nigeria, ads from, so that you're covering a bigger spectrum. The reality, it's a cost issue. So you might have some people who look like Ethiopians, they're lighter than, say, normal Kenyans, but you're trying to cover a wider region.
So you do the photo shoot in that country and spread it across several African markets, that's
the reality of it, because sometimes not everyone has understood the nuances of Africa.
Is that the right thing to do?
It's not the right things to do, and I believe
that's the answer I was looking for.
But brands are also changing. Brands are changing, so it's not something that you can heap on them and say, hey, you guys are not moving and you guys are not progressive. I think inadvertently there was a cost-cutting measure, but as time has gone along, you can see brands doing more and more things that are localized to the market.
Okay, fair enough. I'm coming back to each of you to the two ladies to respond to what he had to say. But we have a question or a comment from someone in the audience. It's a comment actually. Maybe you can just stand up, introduce yourself, and tell us what your comment is. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Corey. So I'm part of the ladies who are in my Black is Beautiful campaign. So thanks to Joanne. And so for me growing up, I thought being a light skin is beautiful because of what I consumed and what everyone around me was talking about. So I would also disagree with you, Melvin, because what I consumed in the media told me that the ideal beautiful girl is a light skinned girl. And this is what made me as an adolescent to go down to Mombasa Road and buy some of this bleaching products.
This is a true story?
Yes.
When did it happen?
So this was in high school, and I did that for 2 terms. And I remember during one of the visiting days, my father came and he asked me, by the way, Corey, you're changing, you're becoming lighter. And I was like, oh yeah, so there's this product I'm using, da-da-da-da. And he was like, no, you're beautiful the way you are. And I remember that's the time that I actually stopped using it. But even as time went on, it's not that it instantly stopped. The idea of a light skin is is the ideal beautiful woman. It still continued, but inside me, I had to convince myself that my black is beautiful and I have to live with that. So what we consume and what our media tells us plays a really critical role.
Makes a big difference.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, it does.
All right.